What's going on, guys? Happy weekend to you. Right now we have something that is super cool. This is the Lexus, actually it's a sticky dash fix specifically for Toyota and Lexus vehicles. If you guys are familiar, or if you have one of the Lexus or Toyota vehicles from I think 2006 through 2014, a lot of them had a problem where the dashboard would start to melt or become sticky. And when I purchased the vehicle, it had not been replaced. It's kind of melting away. It's fraying at the edges, kind of chipping away. So I had to do something about it. I found this website, thestickydashfix.com, and I was a little curious about what it might do for me. I found a few other promotional videos, but other than that, I couldn't find any other information. If you guys know what this channel is about, you'll know that this is a new product and there's not a lot of information on it, and so we're going to jump in and we're going to figure it out ourselves. That's why this channel exists, to have a lot of fun, figure things out, and hopefully present the information in a comprehensible way to you. That being said, let's get into all of the things that I'm going to be using for this project. We have a steel stick. This is it's like a glue, I guess. It's like a silly putty, I guess, if I would have to describe it. This would allow us to fill in some of the deeper holes on my dashboard. We're going to just fill them in to just under flush with the dashboard, and then once this dries, we're going to fill it flush with the Sugru. This one is black, like rubber glue, I guess. Most of you guys probably are familiar with Sugru. We got a lot of attention on the internet several years back. But this was a little more expensive, and this stuff was like $7.50 at AutoZone. I decided, let's just grab something like this, fill in the deeper spots, and then we can cover up with the Sugru. I know that if I ever need to just grab more steel stick, I can always just go to the local hardware store, as this had to go through Amazon. There'll be a link for all of this in the description as usual. One more thing, I am not actually sponsored by Sticky Dash Fix. I communicated with them over Messenger, kind of figuring out their process and understanding them. They are from Australia, as you can kind of see here. They shipped it from Australia as well, which took several weeks. At any rate, I purchased it with my own money because I want to figure this out, and hopefully you want to see the answer too. We also have a glue gun with some glue sticks here. What we're going to be doing with this is we're actually going to find a portion of the dashboard that's not damaged at all, and we're going to make a sample of the texture. We're going to make a mold, or I can't remember the exact term now. We're just going to take this texture mold, and once we've put this Sugru on the dashboard, we are going to use this mold or this texture sample, I guess, and we're going to roll it over the whole dashboard where we added the Sugru. That way it'll make the texture of the dashboard uniform, and that way there's not going to be multiple textures from where we replaced the Sugru. Once again, I did get a lot of this information from multiple YouTube videos, and then I'm compiling it here, so hopefully it makes sense to you. If you have a similar situation, you can use parts or all of this process on your dashboard to get it looking at the very least a lot better. If it's not looking a lot better, I'll feel like I wasted, I guess, $75. Right here we have an X-Acto knife. I think this is the final piece that I haven't described yet. We're just going to use this for the edges of the dashboard that are kind of just crumbling away or need to be kind of shorn up. Also, I didn't show it earlier, but we will be using some tinfoil as well as a UV protectant, and that is completely up to you whether you want to use those or not. They just helped me. With that being said, I think that's all the introduction. I'm going to go ahead and get started on this process. Let's jump into it. Alright, I began by taking this is like the center of a pizza box. You can also use a bottle cap. I just put some hot glue on it and I set it up against the texture. I actually made two of these, one with a bottle cap, one with this pizza centerpiece. The idea here is to get the texture into the hot glue, and then that way we can use that texture as a mold to cover the rest of the areas we're going to be working with today. Next, the plan is to cover this with foil. This is the center air vent, and I'm just going to fill in this gap above the center air vent with the steel stick. I have a lot of this steel stick, and I want to just cover in as much as possible. I can also begin putting the Subaru in above it as soon as it's dried for 10 to 15 minutes. You also notice I can pull out the center air vent once it's semi-dry. That way I can take a look and readjust the foil, just to completely make sure we filled in all the cracks and crevices like we need to. My next goal is to use my texture piece just to cover all this area. And you don't want to press too hard. You're going to end up pushing the Subaru into the mold. If you press too hard, you'll kind of notice it kind of just comes off with my thumb here. And that is not the goal we're looking for. I found it most effective just to wait about 5 to 10 minutes after applying the Subaru and then just lightly tapping it with your texture piece for the best results. The next day, I decided to take out the included surface cleaner that comes with the Sticky Dash Fix toolkit and just apply it on there. So it says to spray it on, wait a few minutes, and then wipe off, just gently wipe off all the debris. So I just brought out a TV show and sprayed it on there and took a few minutes to relax while waiting for it to fully soak in, and wiped it off. Unfortunately, it really wasn't working out the way that I think it was intended to. My dash has been pretty bad for a while. So what ultimately happened was that I contacted Sticky Dash Fix, and the owner suggested I use Petroleum Jelly to see if it would really do much of a difference. My dash is really bad, so I wasn't really expecting a whole lot. You'll see right in this kind of circle-ish on this portion right here that it did help a little bit, but my dash is pretty much beyond repair in some areas, and I'm just going to have to accept that. Finished the rest of the dash. I don't know if you can see, to me it does look a lot better. You can still see some stuff there, unfortunately. I'm not even able to like properly pull it out. So what we're gonna do is we are just going to go forward with it. I have right here a plate which we will be putting the surface sealant on, and then we're going to be using our brush, and just like the instructions say, follow along and cover all this stuff. So if the instructions are correct, it says that it's not going to attach to any plastic, so we'll be able to peel that off. And the only stuff we should keep in mind are to cover up this felt A-pillar here on either side, and the I'm not sure if you can locate right there, we have our the sunlight sensor. I think that's what it's called. Basically it's the auto headlights, and I'm not sure if we should cover up this the speaker here. I couldn't get any tape to stick to it, so I think maybe what we're going to do is just try to do our best to go around it. I don't want anything to fall into this, because if we got liquid in this, it'll probably just harden up. We couldn't peel it off. So yeah, let's get started. Been 30 minutes since the first coat went on. It looks pretty good. Everything is all shiny right now, but it does have this coating over it, which looks really nice, and rather it feels really nice, I should say. Hopefully once we put this Lexus, let's see if I can locate it here. Yeah, this surface coating that's actually colored to the dashboard, hopefully that'll return the original matte finish. That's really what I hope, because I don't want a flashy dash. For the most part, everything seems to have been colored or covered over pretty well. You can, I'm not sure if you can kind of see some streaks where the brush went over it, and I'm not exactly sure what to do. Hopefully the second coat will help cover that. Other than that though, it did seem to give it a nice coating that give it a uniform color, and whatnot. One of the biggest concerns for me was this screw that I added. This camera's picking up pretty well, but in person it's really difficult to notice just the places where I actually put Suguru now, just because of the slight color change. Suguru was like a pure black, and this was kind of I think a slightly more smoky type of a black, and so you could see where I had put the Suguru down, and it's a lot more difficult to spot now. I think the main giveaway is the lack of texture, and that was mostly due to my fault. And the texture, I guess, texture sample that I created wasn't quite giving a proper texture, and anyone who's more detail oriented would be able to give a bit of a better texture to that. But for me, it wasn't the biggest problem, so I just let it slide, and I think it looks pretty good. So if you were to set back here, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell that all of this has been added with rubber and you know, liquid cement. So all right, it's been a few months since the last cutscene that you saw. What has happened is I started putting on the matte finish coating over the top, and the problem I was coming up with was that it just kept leaving streaks along the entire dashboard no matter what I did. And so I contacted the owner of Sticky Dash Fix going, hey, what do I do? And he recommended that I dilute it by 50% for just the top coat that I put over the top here. So what I ended up going over with was I put 2 layers of base, just the matte finish coating over it, and then on the 3rd layer I poured it into my I have a little dish that I put the matte finish where I sponge it on, and I also put 1 part water, 1 part solution, and that fixed probably 80% of all of the streaks that we were kind of observing here, which was fantastic. That's really what I'm trying to absolve. I wanted to update you on a little bit of just some of the problems that my dashboard has that unfortunately I'm just not able to touch. The first one being, you've probably noticed this ring here. That's actually an indentation in the dashboard. I've realized that now. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. I also have like these little marks and nicks on the dashboard. I was able to remove most of them. However, there was still a small percentage that I couldn't touch. And so what remained on here is something that I'm just going to be cursed with for as long as I have this dashboard installed. And then finally, this is where I put the screw in and where it meets the dashboard. Honestly, it looks about 90% better, which I cannot complain with. That's what I'm going for. The camera kind of picks up some defects that I don't see in person. So when I'm just looking at it, it looks pretty much probably about 90% better. But over the camera, you'll kind of notice the line that was kind of created. But that's almost impossible to see in person, which is good. This was the one who kind of took out that last, say, 20% of the streaking on the dashboard. So what we have right here is a trim and plastic restorer by Armorall. It's safe for interior and exterior use, and it's meant to prevent UV rays and restore the black on the black coloring, which is perfect for this. So what we're going to want to do is, I've actually only tried it right here at this point, but we're going to put it over the entire dashboard here, as well as on these side panels. finished product. So, as you can see, there is still, it is a little glossy, and that's part of using the Restorer. It's going to have ultimately a problem with that. But it's actually not super bad. If you look at the dashboard area, there isn't a whole lot of reflection actually. When you look at it head on, it looks like a lot of gloss. But as you drive, I haven't really experienced a whole lot of glare from the sun on the dashboard, and certainly it's 100 times better than what it used to be with the previous dashboard. So anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the love and support on the last video. Honestly, I had no idea that you guys would appreciate it so much. I'm really hoping that you find this video helpful, at least any part of it. I will be going more in depth with how to maintain the cracks and bits and pieces in the future of the dashboard with Sugru and some of the other products that I mentioned in this video. So if you're excited about that, let me know in the comments which one you want me to really focus on. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.